So how can someone balance honouring the loved one that's no longer there for this Christmas whilst also participating in all of the festive celebrations?
I think it's important that they find ways of doing that, because then that can also give them permission to sort of somehow engage in Christmas. It might even be just having a toast to them, or even bringing their name into the conversations. Yeah.
And is it okay to laugh? Is it okay to have fun during this time as well? Or should you feel guilty for doing that? Welcome to the Life and Loss podcast, where we break down barriers surrounding discussions of death and grief, making listeners feel less alone. Today, I'm pleased to welcome back Cathy Lett, a counsellor specialising in bereavement and serious illnesses. Today's episode is about navigating grief during significant dates such as Christmas and New Year. These times can be especially challenging, as they often heighten feelings of loss and sadness. Welcome, Cathy. Thank you for joining me today.
It's great to be back, Hannah. Thank you for asking me.
So people experience heightened emotions around significant dates, as we just mentioned. Can you explain why the anticipation of these dates can be particularly difficult?
Well, I suppose if you think about it, if it's a significant date, it means that somebody's attached meaning and importance to it. And so they can be extremely difficult to face. They can be, birthdays, all different things, can't they? Wedding anniversaries. But today, we're talking about Christmas. That can be extremely hard to have to face, knowing that your loved one's not there on such a special day.
And what sort of emotions might someone feel in the lead up to Christmas?
Well, and I guess that's a good point, the lead up to Christmas. You know, that's something that's so difficult for them to navigate even before they get to Christmas. So I think if you think about all the things that happen for all of us, Christmas is significant, and then you end up with, in a society, the buildup. You get Christmas trees, Christmas music, all the festivities and things, and all of those things in itself, as you go through, each day towards Christmas, can be a huge thing to have to get round and face. And I think that can often be a constant, if you like, reminder for that person of the loss they've experienced. It's an extreme, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there can be, and when they look ahead to Christmas, not only are they navigating the build-up, but they are also looking ahead to a Christmas without that person that they love. And let's face it, on an everyday basis, when you've woken up and have to put one foot in front of the other to deal with grief in those, when you're in the thick of your grief, it can be intense, can't it? It's raw, it's brutal, really.
Yeah.
So facing a day that's got, special memories and meaning to it can be really difficult.
And a friend of mine said to me as well, in addition to Christmas, she found that the New Year period was particularly difficult because she felt like she was leaving that loved one behind in the previous year. Have you come across that before?
Yes. And, I think for some people, New Year can be even worse than Christmas. It can be a huge thing, can't it, to imagine, saying goodbye to that year and the only year you're ever going to experience with the person that you've loved. So it can feel like somebody's leaving them behind. And also New Year is very much a time of nostalgia, reflection. What do we do when, in everyday life when things are okay? We look back on the year. Was it a good year, a bad year? And then we look ahead with hope, hopefully, for the new one, which is what we normally celebrate. So I often have people actually that want to just shut the door and leave everything, all the celebrations on the outside and try to get through it.
So how can someone balance honouring the loved one that's no longer there for this Christmas and not here for New Year, whilst also participating in all of the festive celebrations, the nativities, the Christmas dinners and those sorts of things?
I think that's a really good point, actually. How do they do that? I think it's important that they find ways of doing that, because then that can also give them permission to sort of somehow engage in Christmas or some of the gatherings with family and things. So I think sometimes it can be helpful when people will perhaps actually honour the person that's died by perhaps going up to the cemetery the morning, Christmas morning or whenever it is that suits them, with some flowers or something, or going for a walk where the ashes have been scattered. It might even be just having a toast to them, or even bringing their name into the conversations, making sure that person's still very present in that time. All sorts of, and also sometimes people will write a card out or go and buy a card, because sometimes cards in the shops can be really difficult to see, can't they? And I often will say to a client, actually, how about buying one of those cards? You can still write something in them, and they might write something heartfelt, buy a card for a special husband or a special mum, and write something special and put it on the side so that person feels present.
That's a really lovely idea, and I imagine quite cathartic for people to do that as well.
Yes.
I hope that you're finding this episode helpful as you navigate through your own grieving journey. Grief is deeply personal and often isolating. If you'd like to share your own thoughts and experiences, please comment below.
Yeah.
And is it okay to laugh? Is it okay to have fun during this time as well? Or should you feel guilty for doing that?
Absolutely okay. The one thing I've learned probably through my own life is that grief is unpredictable. It can come in waves. There are times when we may feel that those waves have kind of eased off a bit. And grief isn't 24/7. And I think actually we all need some respite from our feelings when we're going through so much. So I think it's a great thing if you're with family, or you find yourself being caught up in a game, or actually just being able to notice that you're enjoying having the conversations and feeling part of it. It's really, really a good thing to be able to give yourself permission. It's your loss is not measured. Your love is not measured by that, and it doesn't mean that you miss them any less by actually being able to give yourself permission to enjoy something.
And is it important to start new traditions, and can that help with your healing process as well?
I think for the clients that I see, most of the people that I see at Forest Home are facing either their first year or the second. And I think new traditions can help people get through, because the old ones are too painful. Yeah. So it might be small tweaks. It might be traditions that are new ones that are temporary, or they may last for many years, but sometimes it can be easier for people who'll say to me sometimes, we couldn't face sitting down and eating dinner together because that person's not there anymore, and it's so painful. So we've had a buffet, or we're going out, we're going somewhere really nice for dinner, or so small things can help.
Yeah, definitely. What role can the family and friends play in supporting the person who's grieving over Christmas?
That's really important, I think, because I'm aware that there will be feelings there for them too. And if somebody in the family is grieving for a significant person in their life, I guess I completely understand that quite often the knee-jerk reaction is to want to make sure that you include them, and you want them to be there, present in the family through that Christmas. But it's a difficult one because feelings are unpredictable, and I do know through grief that our feelings can change hour by hour, let alone day by day. So what I would say to families are, try to be flexible, have an open mind, and try to keep one step behind that person that's grieving. Let them tell you what they need. It may be very uncomfortable for a family to think that mum doesn't want to come to stay for Christmas, if you like, or somebody doesn't want to come round and spend Christmas Day there, or it's too much. But for that person, they may need to have some time to reflect and feel their feelings. So sometimes it can be helpful to actually keep reviewing it, so that, if that person makes a decision to say they don't want to come, I'd encourage them to keep the lines open, because, as we said, our decisions can change as well. Feelings are unpredictable, so we make decisions and then we wish we hadn't the next day. So it can be. I would encourage people to follow the lead, but yeah.
And at what point might it be useful to seek professional help over the Christmas period?
I think the first thing is if somebody's listening today and you're the person that's bereaved, then to really listen to yourself, and if you just feel you need someone to talk to or to gain an understanding of what you're feeling, then that would be a good time to reach out. But it can be all sorts of reasons. Christmas can trigger all sorts of feelings, whether it's a Christmas, perhaps the second or third Christmas, it may be, but Christmas is a very emotive time. So I would say anybody that has got stuck in their grief or just needs someone to talk to and to work through their grief.
Yeah. And how can people contact you directly, Cathy?
Well, I have got a website, and my website is cathylettcounselling.co.uk.
Thank you, Cathy, and thank you for listening to the Life and Loss podcast. If you'd like more information on our work, you can visit our website, which is forestholmehospice.org.uk. Thank you. Grief is a journey that none of us should navigate alone. If today's interview resonated with you, or if you know someone who could benefit from hearing it, I'd encourage you to subscribe and share this podcast. By spreading the word, you help us to reach others who may be grieving, letting them know that they're not alone and that there's a community here to support them.